Alrighty, folks. Welcome back to the land of cold toes, a lot of snow, and cranky old engines. This week we're back on the Scout. I know you guys really enjoyed the cold start and rallies that I've done on this and the Kenworth, but we got to get back on the Scout. So first thing I'm going to do, obviously, is get all this snow off this. So I'll see you guys in a moment. You know, I almost feel ashamed of how long it's been since I've touched this thing. And for those of you that don't know, I have not touched this Scout since I parked it in the last video that it was in, which was the cold start and rally. So this is the most snow we've gotten in a hot minute, because it has been quite a slow year for snow. You can see the sick hairdo on the Scout there. Well, now that that's done, and I'm absolutely winded, we're going to go ahead and see if that battery has any juice in it. I got to find my keys for this thing. We'll see if she'll fire off. Let her warm up for a minute. We'll run her down to the shop so we can get to work on this thing. I'm willing to bet a lot of beans that that battery there is just stone cold dead. But might as well find out. Gee, if only this thing had a window in it or something. Wouldn't that be pretty handy? Well, now that the little tractor here has had a moment to warm up, we're going to go ahead and drive her out of her hole here, run her on down to the shop. So it's scientifically proven, if you don't clean your windshield off, and you just hang your head out the window here, it works better than if you cleaned your windshield off. It's pretty scientific, you know. Some of you guys ought to know this. I just now thought of it, and some of you were probably watching the previous segments of this video, and you were probably like, what an absolute dummy. I just watched him dump all the coolant out of that engine in the last episode. I didn't film it, and you might not believe me, but I did actually put coolant in it right before before I started it, yeah. I was going to say somewhere in between when I shoveled it off and when I started it. It's been a couple minutes, but yeah. Anyways, there's actually coolant in there. I didn't totally just let it run for 5 minutes and overheat the ever-loving daylights out of that poor little engine. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and put the Scout in here in the shop. Should probably throw down a chalk block so I don't totally run into things. That would be smart. Made it in here. Doesn't that thing just look absolutely freezing right now? Snow and frost does a wonder on these things. I actually got it stopped before I hit my blocks, but, you know, better safe than sorry when somebody else's truck is at stake, you know. So, yeah, I'm going to get the door closed here so the breeze doesn't come through, and I'll probably be camping out by the space heater. Okie dokie, now that I'm all defrosted, we've got a few things that we need to take care of on the engine here. Stick my light right there. As you guys saw in the last episode with the Scout, she got a little toasty and a little bit of, you know, the green stuff came out of the thermostat housing there. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to reseal that. It doesn't have a thermostat in it currently. I'll probably put a thermostat in it now. I'm pretty sure what happened was my thermostat housing wasn't sealed right. I don't think the engine torrentially overheated or anything like that. basically, when I was working on this thing last and I swapped over intake manifolds, I did not have the correct thermostat gasket, so I made one out of a Ford FE thermostat gasket. So things were a little, not correct. And I'm pretty sure that's where our issue stems from, but we're going to find out eventually. So we got to do that. I'll probably hook up the thermostat gauge. I'll probably hook up the oil pressure gauge because that's not hooked up. I still need to hook up all the stuff for the heater box here that we put on 2 Scout episodes ago, if you guys were watching that nonsense. And then hopefully in the upcoming week, I can find the ducting for that guy. I found out that a Scout 2 blower motor is the same as what they put in these Scout 80s. I have a Scout 2 for parts up the driveway. I'll probably go find the blower motor out of that. If not, I'll steal one out of my other Scout 2 to put in this, because your luxury winter beater that you just kind of, hot rod around the yard definitely needs working heat, especially in Alaska. And in here is the thing that I am probably most excited about. Now you might notice I already opened it. That's because I wanted to make sure the old USPS folks didn't break it for me. I'm going to go ahead and pull that out of the package here. And voila! What we have here is sort of the missing piece of glass for this Scout. I bought this off of eBay. Surprisingly, it showed up at the exact moment I needed one of these pieces of glass. As you know, my driver's side is missing the rear piece of glass. Unfortunately for me, sort of, this one is actually the passenger side. But very few of you that have been following along might know that this glass is missing the runner up here, that black part you see on the front of that new piece of glass. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is put this piece of glass over there. I'm going to put that piece of glass over here, and then if anybody ever comes up with a runner for this side of the Scout or anything like that, the little latch mechanism basically, then I'll go ahead and put that on here. But for the time being, some glass is better than no glass, and it'll keep more of the snow off my seat. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and put that piece here. Got to pull this window track off. I'm sure some of you already can figure this one out. It's like 4 bolts here. Pop this window track off, swap out this rear piece of glass, and then this side will have an actually latching piece of glass here, and the other side will have this piece of glass. And here we have the old passenger side piece of glass out. Now we're going to throw this one in. You might be able to piece this one together, but that glass was kind of iced in there somehow. I noticed the set screw on my new piece of glass is a little sticky, so I'm going to go ahead and hit it with some of this Get Up and Go goop here. Thought it would do. And yeah, I'm going to work it back and forth for a moment until it's kind of free. I don't really want to have that be an issue. Alrighty, after a few moments of working that, it's nice and free now. We're going to go ahead and throw this bad boy in the Scout. Alrighty, there we have it. We got our little set screw here to hold the glass in place. Glass slides back and forth, just like it probably should. It's a little stiff because, it's still full of snow, but it ought to hold together pretty good. And this piece still has the weather stripping in there, so that should keep snow out of the inside of the panes of glass here if the wind gets strong enough and tries to blow snow in there. So yeah, now we're going to go ahead and throw the other piece of glass on the other side. I tell you what, I had myself quite confused for a moment. I went to put that piece of glass in and I couldn't get it in because this thing's here. I put this piece of glass in upside down. This guy goes up here. That would explain it. Well, there we have it. 2 pieces of glass for the driver's side and 2 pieces of glass for the passenger side. So, now that all the cosmetic nonsense is done, I think it's about time we start worrying about the mechanical aspect of things. The actual issues with the Scout. Alrighty, it's a new day and we're back at it. You can see I already pulled the hose clamp off down here. Gonna take these guys off up here and we're gonna pop that thermostat housing off. I'll probably get this distributor cap and all these wires out of the way too. So yeah, we'll dive in here. Well, we got the hoses out of the way. I managed to get this one off without spilling any. Well, until I just kind of moved it. Now it's probably gonna drain all the coolant on the floor, but that's all right. This one's pinched up here, hopefully not putting too much tension on the rad fitting. And one special thing that I really like is I managed to track down a few of these factory IH hose clamps. Got one there too. They're not super rare, but I always think things like that are super neat. So yeah. Anyways, those two bolts, we're going to pop this thermostat housing off. I might try and mop up some of the coolant out of there so, of course, it doesn't spill quite literally everywhere. And then, yeah, we're going to deduce why this thing's leaking so bad. Well, this has absolutely nothing to do with the Scout, but it is quite interesting. So the old space heater here wasn't igniting. And, I don't think your diesel fuel or your heating oil is supposed to be chunky. So that's not really cool. So now this has to get like completely drained out and heated up and whatnot so it can get all the crap out of it. So I gotta pack it up to the house now. Well, put the thermostat housing on. I dug around in the back and found this here spark plug wire separator dealio. I knew I had it somewhere, so I figured I might as well put it on while I'm doing all this. I also went ahead and threw some anti-seize on those two bolts since they're going through aluminum into aluminum and they're steel bolts. Those metals don't like to party after a number of years, so it's always a good idea to throw anti-seize on them. So yeah, from here, I'm going to give this guy probably a couple days to set up since it's pretty freaking cold out and it's going to take the RTV a while to cure. It usually, for me, does cure in the cold, but it does take a long time until it does. In the meantime, I have that little circulation tank heater that I'm going to throw on so that I have something to warm the Scout up with on those frigid winter days. And then I can hook all the hoses back up and put coolant in it. Well, we're back down in the shop here. Another day, you know. Instead of focusing on the whole coolant thing today, I figured I'd look at the new window glass I have here. So I have this guy, and you might recognize it as being the little divider dealio, latch mechanism, if you will, on the other side. And this piece of glass, originally coming from that side, didn't have it here. But I had this. It was in the Scout when I got it, way back when. And, well, I figured I'd have a look and see if I can make it work on the driver's side, because this is definitely the passenger side one. The thumb screw's there, so it would have gone like that with the thumb screw to the inside of the Scout. But it does look like if I turn it upside down, basically, and trim the weather stripping up there, I might be able to press it on here and make it work on this side. The only difference would be, of course, the thumb screws at the top on this side instead of the bottom. But that sure beats the hell out of having to buy a new piece of glass or another one of those or whatever I'd have to do. So yeah, I'm going to see if I can't get that squeezed on there without hopefully breaking my glass. I might take the glass back out actually and take it up to the basement where I can have everything nice and warm. Of course, I don't need to tell you guys, plastic's not very pliable when it's, I don't know, it's probably like 0 degrees or something right now. So yeah. Well, of course, going through the list of the old essentials, and well, I'd like the heater to work. So one issue I have, of course, my blower motor doesn't work, and well, I couldn't imagine why. That is not free at all. Like, I have to put quite a bit of effort in to get that thing to spin. So I'm kind of curious. I might take this thing apart and see if I can't free it up some. And if not, I did find out The internet says a Scout 2 blower motor is the exact same as the Scout 80s, so I'll probably see about swapping it out if I can't get this one to work again. But you know, I gotta try it at least. Well, all I did was work the blower motor back and forth, and I hit it with a whole bunch of WD-40 inside out and all around, and that's way better. I mean, obviously. Hopefully it's coming across in the video, but I mean, that is miles from what it was like literally 5 seconds ago. So I'm gonna get out the jumper wires, the power probe, and I'll see if I can't put some juice to this thing and see if it won't spin for me. Alrighty, got my little power probe here all hooked up. I gotta hold the wire on with my hand there. You can see the little ground, but I'll take those results. I didn't even have to take the stupid thing all apart to get it to work. I just had to shoot a bunch of WD-40 in it and work it back and forth. So, good enough for me. Another slightly important thing to mention is it's recommended you might get all the rat turds out of there, since this is your heater, and that's going to like blow rat turds all over the cabin of the vehicle. It's probably a good idea to vacuum those out of there, so I think I'll have to do that. You know it's cold out when the old shop light starts going psycho horror movie on you. Don't worry, it'll warm up here after a few and then it'll act normal. Alrighty, well, we're back in the shop again. I took about a few day hiatus there from working on the Scout. It's been -30 to -40 degrees outside, and in case you didn't know, this here shop does not have any insulation, so the old space heater is my lifesaver. You can see I got blankets, got a sleeping bag here, I've got blankets on both wheels here to hold all the heat in, and then the old space heater just gives her under the hood. So when I go in to warm up, I let the space heater crank with the hood closed, and it warms everything up for me so I can work without my gloves on, and when I'm done I can keep all my fingers. But yeah, I think where we left off is I got the blower motor to work, which was kind of a cool thing. I'm still looking to see if I can't find the ducting to run to there so I can actually have the heat inside the cab. And then I got the thermostat housing. Ooh, if the camera will focus. There we go. I got the thermostat housing all set up and ready to go, RTV'd and gasketed, and had the thermostat in there. I went to crank it down, and this bolt closest to me on there, that guy right there, went and decided that it didn't like the threads. So yeah, had to go down to Napa and pick up a helicoil set. If you don't know, helicoils are these little guys. Watch me spill them all over the ground there. So that's a helicoil. It's a steel thread insert. So when you're doing it on like this, you get a drill bit that's the right size. Your packaging says what size it is. You hog out that hole with the drill bit, and then it comes with a tap. You tap that hole, and then your thread insert threads right in, just like kind of a bolt. And then the little tab on the bottom, that little tab there actually goes on the install tool. That's the install tool, so you can screw it right into the bolt hole. And then, boom, you got new threads. They're a pain in the butt. They're not really that cheap, but they're really a lifesaver, let me tell you. So I just did that one. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the other one because those threads look pretty messed up. And then I should be able to try it again to get the whole thermostat housing set up. This time I'm going to try and have a lot of heat under the engine bay when I put the RTV on, so hopefully it'll set. I've had pretty iffy luck with getting RTV to set up in the cold, so that's why I still throw a gasket in there just to add, hopefully, maybe a little more sealing power. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, we're going to give that a shot. And then in case I didn't mention it, the little circulation tank that I was going to install is down there. I put it right here beside the radiator because I could put it on one of the mounting bolts for the radiator, and it's at the right height now. The hose that goes in the bottom of the circulating tank needs to be at the same level as it comes out of the engine block, as per the instructions. And the old mounting location, which was up here on the side of the fender there, that location actually had the hose going uphill. So I'm not too sure what the difference is really, but just looking at the instructions, that's what they said. And right here works. It's pretty accessible. The hose goes level. This hose actually stays out of the way of the belt. I'm sure it looks horrible on camera. It looks like it's going to run into the belt, but it's actually out of the way. And that way I didn't have to drill any extra holes on the fender over there. So yeah, it worked out pretty good. Well, alrighty. Got that son of a gun taken care of. And the next thing I did was I went ahead and popped the carburetor off because, well, I went ahead and bought myself, there we go, a new carburetor base gasket because I figured I'd get rid of this here art project that I did. Isn't that something? Believe it or not, that worked like an absolute charm. And now it can live in the trash can. Now it can live in the trash can. Well, while we're waiting for the old RTV to set up, I figured I'd go dig out this here relic. For those of you who might not recognize that right off the bat, that is an original Scout bumper, and I'm almost like 98.7% sure that that's actually the Scout bumper off of this Scout. It was at the property I got the Scout from, and as far as I know, there were no other Scouts there. But when I got the Scout, it had wire through these bolt holes where the bumper mounts and a piece of conduit pipe run through it. And that was the first thing to go, like before the Scout even got on the trailer, because, well, that would have slid right out and fell off on the way home. But this bumper had the old license plate over there. The license plate's in the back of the Scout right now. The license plate's from 1978. That's how I assume when this thing was parked. And you can tell this bumper here, she's lived a few lives. That bolt hole's torn out. That one's plumb near torn out. Sorry about your ears. That one was tore out and somebody patched it. That's something I really like and would like to keep on this thing, is that patch. And then that one's torn out. So if I get this thing bolted on, it certainly shouldn't be used like a bumper. But it's going to be used, and you can see on the Scout, that bolt hole, plumb near wallered out. This bottom one was bent down some, and I bent it back up with a crescent wrench. This bottom one's bent down. I'm about to bend that one back up. And then that top one actually doesn't look too bad. But yeah, no, she's come in contact with a few things, so we're going to see if we can't scab the bumper back on it. Oh yeah, and it used to have a spare tire carrier. One of these days when the snow's gone, I'll show you guys what the old spare tire carrier looked like, because it's right out here on the scrap pile. But that's going to wait until warmer times. Well, she's just mocked up for now. I just set the lights on there and the bumper's on. No bolts, obviously, but, you know, the bumper had to go on with a little bit of persuasion from the hammer, so I don't think the bumper's going to fall off. I went ahead and made sure that that washer was on the top side, just because I really like that kind of thing. Those old hack repairs, they make me happy for whatever reason. But I'm pretty sure that the license plate used to be on the other side, so the bumper's upside from the way it used to be. Doesn't bother me, though. I'd have to look at my photos and see which way the license plate was when I got the bumper, or which way the old spare tire carrier was. It used to be in the middle, but that's the look I wanted right there with the old fog lights and the rusty old bumper. I'm going to have to see if I can't find some bolts that I can get to rust to put in there so that they're not too shiny. You don't want to detract from the nice headlight trim rings and the grill and the sick fog lights. Never mind all that steam coming off of there. It's been partying with the old space heater. Alrighty, we're making all sorts of progress tonight. I figured since we've got the old RTV setting up on the thermostat housing that I'd go ahead and battle my old enemy here. Sorry about the light movement. I can't get this thing to sit still. There we go. Alrighty, so this is the one and only brake drum that I could never get off when I was working on this thing before, and I knew it was the only one because it still has a wheel cylinder in the back. So I'm going to grab my little bottle torch. We are going to apply a lot of heat. We are going to apply quite a bit of WD-40, and we might actually have to get out the old hydraulic 3-jaw puller to get this old girl off of there. So I don't know if you guys heard it, but I heard a little pop there. Well, just gonna repeat that a few more times and see if it won't walk off of there. I do have to be kind with this drum because the rear of this Scout has 9-inch drum brakes, and International I use those drum brakes for basically 1961, I think. So if I break these brake drums, then I'm gonna have one heck of a time finding replacements. So alrighty, well, I decided to break out the big guns. I wanted to pull on the drum easily and not hammer around it because, like I said, I really don't want to break this thing. So, of course, if you don't know, this is a hydraulic 3-jaw puller. Basically, it's your industry standard 3-jaw puller, except instead of a screw, you have a giant hydraulic jack. When I picked this thing up like 2 years ago, I needed a brake drum puller, actually. And when I was looking at them, a brake drum puller is a T-bar style puller with a giant screw, and they were like 110 bucks. This stupid little thing was like 65 bucks. So I was like, well, I'll get the little hydraulic puller. I'll bet it's even more handy than the brake drum puller. And the first thing I did with this thing was pull off a brake drum off a Dana 44 on the back of my step side. So yeah, I'm gonna put a little tension on this like I just did. And then I'm going to apply some more heat and some more WD-40 and slowly add tension until the brake drum pops off, when it should. Well, sorry you guys missed all the action, but I heated it up once, sprayed some WD-40, went to put a little more tension on it, and it went pow! Dropped my brake drum puller down there, or my hydraulic 3-jaw puller, and yeah, brake drum's ready to come off now, so pretty neat. Well, there we go. You can see why the old brake drum had to come off. These wheel cylinders are very crunchy. I think when it popped, it pulled the retaining hardware for the brake shoes off. You guys can't see squat because I'm not holding the camera right, but you can see this brake shoe's all popped up, so I think my puller took the holders out with it, but we can figure that out. So pretty neat. That darn thing's finally off, so now we can pull all of this hardware off of here, and then I got to rebuild all the wheel cylinders, track down some hardware kits for it maybe, and then we'll slowly piece the brakes back together here. Well, I went and did it. Over torqued one of my old IH hose clamps, so that guy's a wall hanger now. Guess I'll have to find another one to slap on there down on the thermostat housing. And then I'm about ready to call it a night. And here, once I get the bumper bolted on, I think we'll call it a video. You know something that's been bothering me for quite some time? The stupid seat cover. See, the original seat was blue, like the bottom. The bottom had the same seat cover on it. That just came off long ago, but now it's time for this thing to go. Look at that nice upholstery underneath. I'm like, I don't even know what's up with this stuff underneath the cover. Like, is this supposed to be extra cushioning or something? Like, I don't know. Just weird to me. Anywho, all that's gotta go. I'll probably flip the seat over. Maybe next time it's out, pop all the hog rings that are attaching this stuff on the backside. But, yeah, I'm gonna hop over on that side and just rip all this crap out of here. I never cared for this brown seat cover, so. Yeah, I don't know. The back of the seat's perfectly fine. I don't even know why they put the seat cover on it. Must have just been trying to keep this nice. Weird stuff, man. That looks so much better now. What's funny is this plastic seat cover that was in between the two layers has like a sewn edge and elastic cord in it. So I wonder if that thing was some like 1960s clear seat cover. And if that's the case, that has got to be the weirdest thing I've ever heard of. But man, that blue seat looks nice. Should have done that a long time ago. Alrighty, and just like that, we have a piece of glass ready made for the driver's side. Of course, the thumb screws on the top now because I took this guy. This whole setup was off the passenger side. I just flipped this guy upside down so it'd work on the driver's side of the Scout. So yeah, all I had to do was kind of softly pound this metal strip on over this guy. Used a lot of WD-40 to slip and slide everything on there, and she should be good to go. I don't know if the factory used glue on the weather stripping here or what, because this is actually like a C-channel of weather stripping around this. So the factory probably used some kind of glue on this rubber weather stripping to the glass. I didn't. Hopefully it holds on until I can either find another piece of glass or fix it right. Of course you can see I need to replace the weather stripping anyways, but well, I'm not going to do it now. So yeah, let's get it thrown in the Scout there. Alrighty, there we have her. A little bit quirky, of course, because the thumb screw's now at the top instead of being on the bottom. And I definitely don't think that you should be reefing down on this thumb screw because this aluminum channel might be weak. As you can tell, it's already been patched. So definitely not something to really reef down on, but glass seems to slide pretty nice. Front piece comes back. I think that'll do for now. Well, I think with that piece of glass put in the Scout, now that she's got all the glass in her and we've got the thermostat housing getting sealed up, we got that brake drum finally pulled off of there. Helicoil action, man, we've done a lot recently. We made the heater blower motor work, and then hopefully soon we'll make the whole heater system work again. So it's been a busy video, and I think it's about time we called it quits. So I just wanted to say that in recent weeks, the channel has grown significantly. I've gotten a lot of views. A lot of people seem to really be enjoying the content, and I really appreciate that. Everybody that's decided to like, subscribe, leave me nice comments and whatnot, I really do appreciate everybody that's decided to stop by and hang out with me on these crazy adventures, especially these videos with the Scout here. They're kind of boring because it's just slow, monotonous work, but well, I enjoy the slow work sometimes, and hopefully other people do. And then every now and then I can hopefully get together a nice rally video for you guys. Get things out in the snow, have some fun, run them around. It's always a good time. So yeah, thanks for stopping by.